Our favourite time of the week to talk to our favourite person in the world, the wonderful Megyn Kelly joins us from the United States. How are you, mate?
I'm great. How you doing, Paul?
Well, there is so much BS about the last president, Joe Biden, and I know they say we're not allowed to talk about it. No, we're going to talk about it. Where do we start?
There are truly layers upon layers of going down here. So first we had the obvious cover-up of Joe Biden's mental infirmity from the White House and the complicit media, lest they be forgotten. Yes, the White House and the aides protecting the president are the chief villains in all of it, but the media is just as complicit in the cover-up and went along with it, not unwittingly, wittingly. They went along with it because they didn't want to report on anything that could jeopardize Biden's chances of getting elected and then reelected, and that might enable Trump's trip right into the White House. That's why they had to go along with the lies. They're not complete idiots. They saw what 77% of the country saw, which was that he was too old and infirm to be president. They saw it. This is their business, politics. They didn't report on it because they had zero interest in bringing that story to print or to camera. They did not want it fanned, and they didn't want it to catch on. He was too important to them. And they, like the rest of the Democrats who were actually in politics, unlike the media who aren't supposed to be, saw the truth, which was there was no clear heir apparent. If Biden went, then who? And they continued to say to themselves internally and externally, who else can do it? He's the only one to beat Trump. And that is the reason for all of the lies and then complicity by the media in covering it up. So now we get to the point where they're feeling bad, I guess. A couple of them have found a conscience about the fact that they covered up the biggest story in decades at the presidential level, that we had a cognitively impaired president who most likely should have been 25th Amendmented right out of office, meaning you can't perform the duties any longer, so you're out. And they've decided to use their Democrat sources to write books about it. Okay, I'm in favor of that, to be honest. I like it because now I've read the Tapper Thompson book, Original Sin, and I actually did learn a fair amount of new details in there. Did my opinion of the infirmity change? No, not at all. We knew the bottom line. Everybody listening to my voice right now, we knew the bottom line. Your bottom line is not going to change. But there's a lot more in there about who else knew, who specifically was covering it up inside of the White House, et cetera. And I found that very interesting. Like, I wanted names. And so far, we haven't seen somebody provide them. And now we have. Okay, great. We're off to the races. So no sooner does that book hit, it hits on Tuesday, and the audio of her special counsel investigation is posted on Axios by one of the co-authors of this same book, showing Biden was out to lunch. He was non-compos mentis. He was the daffy old, very old great grandpa that you sometimes get seated next to at Thanksgiving, who drones on and on about Mongolia and how he fought sumo wrestlers and hit perfect bullseyes. And you have to pretend that you believe it and you think it's charming until you're really just looking around like, can someone save me from great grandpa? I need a break. Someone else has got to do the loving but heavy lifting over here. So no sooner do those two things happen, the audio and this book, then at that moment, they decide to tell us he's got cancer. Not just any cancer, but prostate cancer, which is spread to the bones, which every single doctor I have spoken to personally or read or watched in the past 24 to 36 hours, every single one, prostate specialists, urologists, oncologists, all say this would take 5 to 7 years, maybe 10, to go from prostate cancer to metastasized into the bones. 5 to 7, probably 10. All of them said he had this when he took office.
I'd imagine if you're the president, they're taking a vial of blood every 2 weeks just to make sure that everything's okay. Yet none of this showed the prostate cancer that is now apparently so advanced that it is, it's life-threatening.
No, so far what we've seen is that the annual exams of Joe Biden did not include any reporting about this so-called PSA test, which every man over 50 in the States is advised to get. It's so easy. You don't have to do anything invasive or uncomfortable. Just when you give your blood at your annual physical, you check the box that says, and please add the PSA test to see if these antigens that might say you have some activity happening in the prostate are up. So it's a nothing burger. I mean, if you're going to check my lipids, Very easy to say. And also, hey, check out the prostate. We'd like to know. And so the reality is Joe Biden's probably been getting that PSA test for some 30 years now. And what, it just happened to stop when he went into the White House? President Trump is getting it. That's his annual physical. President Obama got it. It was on his annual physical. President George W. Bush got it. It was on his. Only Joe Biden doesn't have it. And only Joe Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. And only Joe Biden actually has prostate cancer, which all of the prostate cancer experts say for 5 to 7 years. They're lying to us. They have been covering this up for years. That's my informed opinion.